While much of the world slept, Elena Rybakina authored one of the most dramatic comebacks in recent Australian Open history, rallying from a daunting third-set deficit to stun Aryna Sabalenka and capture her second Grand Slam singles title in a match that showcased not only extraordinary shot-making but also remarkable mental resilience. Under the bright lights of Rod Laver Arena, the final unfolded as a battle between two of the most powerful players in the women's game, each armed with explosive serves and ground strokes, yet it was Rybakina's calm under pressure that ultimately separated her from her equally formidable opponent. Sabalenka entered the match as the reigning Australian Open champion and one of the most dominant hard-court players of the past year, bringing with her an aura of confidence built on recent success in Melbourne and a season defined by consistency at the biggest events. She began the final with authority, imposing her aggressive baseline game early and taking the first set with a combination of blistering forehands and relentless pressure on Rybakina's serve. The Kazakhstani player, however, never appeared rattled, maintaining her composed demeanor even as Sabalenka dictated rallies and seemed poised to repeat her triumph. Rybakina responded in the second set by raising her first serve percentage and shortening points, forcing Sabalenka to hit from uncomfortable positions and gradually turning the momentum in her favor. The set swung on a handful of crucial points, with Rybakina's precision on the big moments allowing her to level the match and set the stage for a decisive third set that would test both players' physical endurance and emotional control. The final set initially appeared to be slipping away from Rybakina as Sabalenka surged ahead, breaking serve and racing into a commanding lead that had many observers believing the defending champion was on the verge of closing out the match. Sabalenka's power was overwhelming, and her body language suggested a player confident she could finish the job, yet tennis matches at the highest level are rarely linear, and Rybakina refused to yield. Slowly and methodically, she began to chip away at the deficit, holding serve under immense pressure and then striking at the precise moment when Sabalenka's level dipped ever so slightly. What followed was a remarkable stretch of tennis in which Rybakina blended patience with controlled aggression, choosing her moments to attack while minimizing unforced errors, a stark contrast to the risk-heavy approach that began to creep into Sabalenka's game as the finish line drew closer. The turning point came during a tense service game in which Rybakina saved multiple break points with fearless serving and unreturnable deliveries down the tee, a sequence that seemed to drain Sabalenka's confidence and energize her opponent. From that moment on, the match transformed, with Rybakina dictating rallies and Sabalenka struggling to find the same clarity that had defined her earlier play. As the games ticked by, the pressure visibly mounted on the defending champion, whose normally reliable power began to misfire at critical junctures, allowing Rybakina to complete the comeback and seal victory to a stunned hush followed by a roar of appreciation from the crowd. The final scoreline told only part of the story, as the match was ultimately decided not just by shot selection or physical ability but by composure in the most testing moments, an area where Rybakina excelled. Her triumph marked a significant milestone in her career, reinforcing her status as one of the most complete players in the modern game and confirming that her earlier Grand Slam success was no anomaly. For Sabalenka, the defeat was a painful reminder of the fine margins that separate victory from defeat at the elite level, particularly in finals where expectations are high and the weight of defending a title can subtly influence decision-making. Despite the loss, her performance throughout the tournament underscored her continued presence at the top of the sport, and she remained gracious in defeat, acknowledging Rybakina's resilience and the quality of the contest. The match also served as a compelling showcase for women's tennis, highlighting the depth of competition and the psychological complexity that defines the sport's biggest stages. Rybakina's ability to remain composed while facing a significant third-set deficit spoke volumes about her growth as a competitor, reflecting lessons learned from previous deep runs at major tournaments and a maturity that belies her relatively young age. As she lifted the trophy in Melbourne once again, Rybakina joined a select group of players capable of winning multiple Grand Slam titles in an era marked by intense parity and relentless athleticism. The victory is likely to have far-reaching implications for the remainder of the season, boosting her confidence and altering the dynamic at the top of the women's rankings, while also setting up a compelling rivalry with Sabalenka that promises many more high-stakes encounters. For fans who awoke to the result, the shock was immediate, but for those who witnessed the match in real time, it was a reminder of why tennis continues to captivate audiences worldwide. Momentum can shift in an instant, leads can evaporate, and belief, more than any single shot, often proves decisive. Rybakina's stunning comeback at the Australian Open will be remembered not only for the drama of the scoreline but for the quiet determination that fueled it, a performance that encapsulated the essence of championship tennis and added another unforgettable chapter to the tournament's rich history.